right, now the Chris D'Elia documentary. I've been trying to get to this for an hour now. Thank you guys so much. It was done by a comedian named Kyle Anderson, but he didn't do it as a comedy. He did it as like a straightforward documentary, and it was really, really good. And I did not realize how big of a piece of shit Chris D'Elia was. Now, I don't know what you knew about the D'Elia stuff, but I knew about the D'Elia stuff from watching, I would say, Mike David.
Yep.
And
Me too.
That was about it. And all I had kind of gotten from Red Bar's coverage of D'Elia was that he sent Instagram messages, Snapchats, and creepy texts to underage girls.
I got that, and I got that he definitely tries to like rationalize talking to younger girls based on what the laws are in each state, which seems pretty suspect. Like you shouldn't have to do that.
So then you have, you remember the apology video he did?
Yeah.
Was that this year or last year? It was either, I think it was 2021. He did the apology video in the spring. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Beige Frequency. Thank you, Scarface. I think Beige Frequency helped me a lot with the D'Elia stuff. So D'Elia, I thought that was his thing. And I was like, well, that's really creepy. And, you know, he lost movies because of it. He got, I mean, essentially canceled.
Yeah. Oh, everything was over for a while.
Brendan even took their show away from, Brendan even distanced himself from D'Elia for a while. And then he brought D'Elia back, I think, this year. And I still think that's a massive mistake. I like that Eric Griffin guy. I think he's very funny, and he should stop working with Chris D'Elia. But after watching this documentary, I cannot believe that anybody would back this guy, be a fan of this guy. I mean, remember when Bill Cosby got accused and it was like 3 people, and Bill Cosby fans would be like, oh, they could just be lying whores.
Yeah, it's 3 people.
But then it got to like 10, 20, 30, and I think it got to like 70 something at one point.
That's a lot.
And you're like, okay, even if 90% of these bitches are liars, which is statistically impossible.
Yep.
Even if 90% of these bitches are liars, like there's this grand conspiracy to sink Bill Cosby, that still means he raped 7 people, and that's horrific.
One's too many, right?
Well, look, I don't want to get into a debate on my birthday.
Okay.
I used to have, when I was just starting out in stand-up, I had a really hacky Bill Cosby joke, but I was really proud of it because it killed in bars and shit when I would, open and stuff. Basically, when my stand-up career was at a Zumakian level and I was just curtain jerking for $50, I had a joke about Bill Cosby, and that was the setup about like, 60 people. There's still people who say he didn't do it. 60 people. Even if half of them are lying, that's 30 people that he raped. I said, that's insane. And I can't remember how the whole joke went, but it was comparing myself to Bill Cosby.
Oh, not good.
It's like, if I was accused of raping that many women, I would be in prison right now, and he's off doing gigs. I go, I'm a way better person than Bill Cosby. If it's half these women, he's raped 30 people. You know how many people I've raped? And the whole crowd would go like 0. And I go, only 4. And that was my shocking shock jock comedy joke.
Shock jock.
I butchered the joke, but don't worry, it was never that good. It was like your first.
But you're saying it works in the bars you're in?
Oh my God. When you do comedy shows and you're just opening and you do a Bill Cosby joke like that, oh, the rubes love that shit. But it's a bad joke. It's not a good joke.
No.
But it was like my first year or 2 in comedy, and you're like, ooh, I actually wrote a joke that has a setup and a build and a punchline. Ooh, aren't I naughty?
Oh, hey, don't forget with this D'Elia stuff. Remember that chick's video we watched on YouTube retelling like her experiences with him from her bed? Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
That too, I feel like
said
a lot about him.
So I watched this documentary by Kyle Anderson, again, who did a great job. And it's all interviews with these girls, and I didn't realize how active Chris D'Elia was in like actually doing shit to these women. Like, these women are telling these stories about how they would make out in his hotel room. First of all, they came up to his hotel room, one of the stories goes, and he was watching Cops and eating shrimp scampi. I think I knew that story.
Okay.
But he would make it, like, this one girl was telling this story about how they were making out and stuff, and he's like, now get on your knees. And she was like, oh, I thought he was doing like a dom thing. So I'm like, no, I don't feel comfortable. And then he would start getting really angry. And he would be like, get on your knees right now. And she's like, she was horrified and it was a terrifying experience and all this other stuff. Girls talking about how if they tried to leave, he'd whip his dick out at them and chase them out of the room.
That'll
and shit
keep
like
him
that.
there.
Well, then there's a bunch of clips of him in interviews and stuff talking about how I have a cult and we're a cult and you're all my babies and this and that. And like, it sounds like he's a comedian that's joking around. Not joking around. He wanted these women to like live in a house, be a harem, have like a fuck palace for him, be submissive to him. He would Snapchat these women. And this is all alleged in the documentary. He would Snapchat these women wherever they were and be like, get on your knees and send me pictures. And like one girl was like, I was in the mall and I had to go into a bathroom and I was on my knees for 2 hours.
No,
taking pictures for this guy.
Don't send him the pictures. Delete him.
Now that's what I was saying. I was like, then why aren't these broads just saying no to this fucking psycho? Well, they said, and the cult leaders and manipulators pick their targets very carefully.
Okay.
They find people who are easily walked over. That's why when you and I hear these stories, we go, why don't you just say no? That's why we've never been in a cult.
So they're just preying on weak people.
Right. So what he would do is he would threaten to kill himself if these women didn't do this shit. Oh, God. Yeah.
I've met one person like that. That is just disgusting.
Yeah, and then so he would also like there's recordings in this documentary of him talking to these girls about how they should delete all the stuff he's ever sent them because it wouldn't help him right now because he's in trouble for what he did. And then you remember that apology that he put out like a year ago.
Yeah.
And everyone thought, he's like, oh, man, what was the Red Bar episode where it's being faithful rips? Remember when he was like taking pictures of his family? He's like, yeah, not cheating rips and shit like that. And he's like, nobody who's not cheating is sending out those social media messages. So these girls then corroborated and showed their texts and their Snapchats and whatnot and said, yeah, while he was posting those, he was Snapchatting us. And he would create new Snapchat accounts and Instagram, like all this other shit. And they told one of them, like, sent all this shit to his wife. And his wife is in complete denial of the whole thing.
Sure, like, oh, he's just famous and you want something with him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's probably what he tells her. And his fiance is probably a woman, his wife, fiance, whatever, is probably another woman who's easily led and controlled and everything else. If you're going
to be with him, yes.
He probably picks his targets very carefully. Also, there's millions of dollars on the line. She doesn't want to lose that. So these women were pouring it out to this Kyle Anderson saying, look, this guy made that apology video and nothing stopped. He was at Disney with his family and he was texting and Snapchatting all of us and sexual shit. And like, he took a picture of his wife in Mickey Mouse ears at Disney World and would write to his harem of women and say, you would look really good in these ears. That's fucking sick. When you're sending the women you're fucking pictures of your wife, and going, God, you would look good in these ears. Like, again, I'm going to say there's a 1.6% amount of guilt these women should kind of feel about getting those pictures and not going, you fucking creep, get away from me. But a lot of them did. A lot of them eventually did. But I think it's that you got to be careful with that because I think it's that 1.6% guilt that keeps them from going public and exposing this guy. And you can't do that. You got to go, look, this guy needs to be stopped, and I got to take my medicine too.
I'm sitting here trying to think, like, you mentioned, like, oh, this chick would sit on her knees for like 2 hours because he says he's going to off himself or whatever. Okay, so just if that's your worry, like, keep going with the bit as long as you have to and just don't tell him that you're reporting this. Like, contact the authorities or something about it.
Well, they did contact, I think, CNN, and CNN wrote a big article. D'Elia's tour manager is in this documentary, and and by the way, the stuff I'm giving you is not spoiling the documentary. I'm giving you like 1/18th
tip of the iceberg.
What the whole thing is. It's wild. Is it called the D'Elia problem or the Chris D'Elia problem? It's by Kyle Anderson on YouTube. I got in touch with him yesterday, tried to book him on the show. We couldn't come to anything, but except D'Elia videos. But his former tour manager, who's this really good dude, was like, yeah, once CNN contacted me about these allegations these girls were making, I thought about all the times I've seen girls come out of Chris's hotel room, and I never thought of it, but they all seem to have this really embarrassed look on their face, like they just did something they're not proud of.
Sure.
And he said, I saw this literally 100 times.
Okay.
And I didn't put two and two together until CNN contacted me about the article, and he said, I've got to speak up. I've got to say something. And it led to him leaving show business altogether. He didn't want to be a part of it anymore. And then he said the CNN article went away. It's been deleted. And he believes that there was some kind of settlement that D'Elia paid these girls.
Great.
To drop the whole thing.
It fixes everything, doesn't it? Money?
I suppose. Michael B says, would you open for him, Aaron? I'd open his nose for him. This guy, I mean, you watch this documentary, you're going to be like, why isn't this piece of shit either dead or in jail? He's a really bad guy. His tour manager says it's on Cosby levels. I don't disagree with him.
I sincerely have to wonder why anyone works with him. I really do.
If Brendan doesn't, I mean, people have this idea that if your friend gets in trouble, you have to stand up for him. No,
you don't.
You know what I think you have to do? Here's a perfect example in a movie of a guy just going, I got to wash my hands of you. I'm done with you. And it's Boogie Nights when Burt Reynolds goes to visit the Colonel in jail.
Yes.
And the Colonel goes, they're just so young and beautiful, Jack. And he just goes, no. And he's disgusted.
I didn't touch him.
I didn't touch him, Jack. They're just so... and Jack just hangs up the phone and he walks out and he's like, I'm fucking done with this guy. This guy's a piece
have
of
to
shit.
be.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to be. I don't care if it's friends or family. You find out that happened, you're done.
So I think Schaub and I think Eric Griffin, who again... I don't dislike Schaub. I think he's adorable in a weird way, even though he's kind of a buffoon and he's fun to make fun of and be silly and be goofy about. He's got to get rid of this fucking guy, and if he doesn't, he deserves to go down. If people decide, look, you associate with D'Elia, he's a monster, he's a piece of shit, I'm done with you, you deserve it. Eric Griffin not only is a talented, funny guy, he also seems like a genuinely good person.
Sure.
I don't know the fucking guy, but he seems, you watch someone, from what I've seen of him, he seems like a good guy. He's got to get the fuck out of there. And I've heard people say that now Eric Griffin in his Twitch chat is blocking people who bring up the D'Elia documentary. Mm-hmm. Come on, man. You got to let that shit come to light. You got to let that stuff out. That's got to have its day. I mean, this stuff... You can't write this documentary off as, oh, it's just a bunch of hearsay and shit like that. This Kyle Anderson did a remarkable job with this documentary. There aren't many holes in it. Thank you to Ryobi with $10. He says, happy birthday. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, boy or girl. Congratulations, Aaron. Thank you, buddy.
Boy or girl.
Yes, I appreciate that. Oh. Let's go ahead and go through as much of the chat as we can. All right, let's start with Gravy Show says they're a bunch of marks. Farfik Nugan says, but where's the underage thing? Are you trying to put him down because he's a coos hound? So what? I mean, watch the documentary. He's a giant piece of shit. As far as the underage stuff, that stuff is in there too.
That is in there. I mean, that underage stuff has been talked about a lot. That's not something.
Did you watch it?
I didn't get to.
Okay.
I didn't have any time yesterday.
You were going to if we got Kyle on.
Yeah, you told me that we weren't going to make it happen today, so I'm like, okay, then I don't have to stay up later and watch it. So that's, I was following your lead, boss.
Thank you. So the underage stuff is in there. I'm just telling you this stuff. Again, I gave you the tip of the iceberg. The other stuff is in there. It's just, to me, that was the most troubling, fucked up stuff, is how manipulative this guy was.
The guy looks like cancer. There's enough smoke around him. There's got to be fire. I don't know why you stick with him.
Somebody said something about his skin looks like blank in the chat earlier, and I'd been so in the chat, and I hadn't been doing the show, so I felt bad I didn't read it. It was a really accurate line, and I can't remember what it was. But he looks fucking terrible.
He looks sick. And the guy's always kind of been... he's just creepy looking.
Yeah. N-Word says, I think this is very clearly not about putting a predator in jail. They want a payday. I disagree. I think if you go watch it, they're saying because they were after a payday and not justice. I disagree. I don't think these women are getting rich off this. That's for sure. David Smith says, how does this weak nerd get a woman so close that she needs to lean away? He's talking about me?
It's got to be that camera angle. I'm not leaning. I'm literally sitting straight.
I lean away from you.
Do you really?
When I have to talk to you? Yes, you have to. When you're sitting next to each other and you turn to talk to someone, you have to lean away to stay into the microphone. So, yes. David Smith, I know. Look, you don't have the girl you want. It didn't work out for you. I just got to tell you this, buddy. Stop projecting. It's not a good look. Everybody who's here enjoying this show right now knows exactly what's wrong with you. You're exposing it to the world. Keep your cards closer to your vest, buddy. If I could give you some advice, don't lay them down on the table and show that you're projecting so hard. It's not good. First of all, you're paying me a great compliment. And then you're also exposing that you're unhappy at the same time. I'm going to help these wayward boys who come in here and go, yeah, you guys are this. I'm going to help you. When women manipulate men, it's normal, says N-word. I will say this. It's a great exposure of how women really need to work on understanding guys just to protect themselves.
I do agree with that.
I mean, women, they're so complimented and they so badly want men to like them and they so badly want good attention that they see a guy say hi to them and they don't understand what's going on there.
Right.
Like they sit there and they go, oh, he's being nice to me. I love it when people are nice to me. I'll talk to him. Women do this thing where they feed their egos with a man's kindness without seeing 3 steps ahead. Whereas men see 3 steps ahead. Like you'll have one of these guy friends and you'll be like, oh, I love hanging out and spending time with him. He's fueling his fuck bank. He thinks you're going to fuck him by you hanging out. And just because you go, oh, I don't give off that vibe. Did you say hi back to him? Then in his mind, you gave out that vibe.
Yeah.
That's just how guys like that are. So you can't sit there and talk to them. You can't be nice to them. You can't say hi to them. They're going to see it as you want to fuck them. And, you know, when it comes to women going, well, I didn't know. We've told you, all right? You know now. We've told you how they are. And it's not some of them. It's not most of them. It's all of them to a T. So stop with the, you got to stop with the I didn't know. Women have this thing where when they hear gruff, aggressive, bad news from a guy, they act like that guy's the problem. Right. No, they're trying to help you. You just don't want to hear bad things.
That's what I was going to say.
And you don't want to hear that this guy's talking. You don't want to hear that he's not talking to you because you're oh so awesome and fun and cool.
Interesting.
Right. You're not. I promise. He's done this to many other women before.
Yeah.
Fucking, if he's talking to you, he wants to fuck you. Play it that way. If you don't want to fuck him, see, like, a lot of women get a bad rap for being bitches at a bar when a guy says hi and she goes, get away from me. I'm hanging out with my friends. That's how you have to be. Mm-hmm. If you're interested in a guy, if a guy comes up to you and says hello and you're like, oh, he's cute, I'd like to, you go, hi, how are you? My name is so-and-so. And you do the dance, but understand he wants to fuck you. And if you're okay with that, then you keep talking to the guy.
There's an end game.
There's an end game. Yeah, girls, I'm going to be your best friend right now. And I'm going to tell you something that's going to help you stay away from creeps. None of us find you interesting. I mean, like, when we come up and talk to you. Like, none of us, we don't know anything about you. We don't think you look interesting other than we like your tits and your face and your ass. We don't find you interesting. We don't really care about what you're saying. That all starts developing as you date and develop a relationship and shit like that. But when we just start talking to you, we don't think you're different. We don't think you're special. We saw the way your titties look in that shirt and we really enjoyed it.
You know what the tragic thing is about that, though, and the reason I think most women think, like, oh, he must think I'm interesting and stuff like that is because most women, like, if they are sitting and talking to a guy, like, for any, like, extended period of time, like, by their own choosing, they probably do think, oh, this guy is interesting. I actually kind of like talking to him.
Yeah.
Like, we're totally projecting, like, how we think you're thinking about us because that's how we think of you.
Turtle with $2 says Loaf Pig versus Scambo the Liquor Pig. Happy birthday. Thank you, buddy. I saw that was catching on. I appreciate that. Farfik Nugan says, listen, if you don't want to fuck, don't go to the hotel room. Take responsibility. There is a part of that. Louis J. Gomez said that about the Louis C.K. stuff. He goes, girls, if he takes you to the hotel room, he's trying to fuck you. Yeah, if you don't want to fuck him, don't go.
There's nothing, in my opinion, like more intimate than having a guy being like, oh, come to my hotel room with me. That screams sex. It just does.
You gotta, look, guys have to not be gross and creepy. I get that. But murderers also have to not be murderers. Mm-hmm. You should also take steps to learn warning signs.
I've been sitting here thinking this too. Like, when I asked you, like, well, why would these dumb girls sit on their knees for 2 hours just because he Snapchatted them? It's not like he's holding them there.
Right.
And the whole, like, offing himself thing. At what point, like, is your life so miserable? Like, if your life's miserable enough because of that stuff and now you're in a documentary about it, how about you just don't worry about what he does to himself and stop doing that?
If somebody told me, like, do this or I'll kill myself, I'll be like, well, where should I send flowers?
You know, good luck.
You're not going to get me to,
That's what I think, too. Like, if he's ruining your life, what's it worth? You know, like, who cares what he does to himself?
I think where feminism fucked women up is they basically told women, you know, eat all you want and not get fat. You know, they told them, do everything you want, no responsibility. Do everything you want, and anytime someone says, hey, you got to be careful, you got to do this, that's mansplaining, that's sexism, that's not okay. A better world is getting rid of feminism and telling women, look, there is no paradise where all the men behave themselves. A good portion of them are going to be fucking monsters and not even know it. They're going to think that they're doing everything by the book, and they're going to be fucking monsters. You've got to prepare for that. You've got to know your enemy. You've got to know what they're after, and you've got to play the game too. You know, feminism has convinced women that none of it's their responsibility. Don't even worry about it. If a man does something terrible, he's bad and you're fine. How about we don't want women to have that shit happen to them in the first place?
Yep.
So you have your head on a swivel and you prepare.
I've had to learn some pretty hard lessons in my life, and I would absolutely say that's true.
Just a Dabbler says, I'm confused, and the police don't like when you hold your phone while driving. Oh, sorry, buddy. Sorry, pal. Joe Berger with $9.99 says, happy birthday. Oh, nice. I lost it there. Says, happy birth. Oh, Jesus, fuck. Happy birthday and happy holidays. I'm a fan of the toe. Thank you, buddy.
Merry Christmas.
B. Joggin says, Aaron, show Christmas boobs.
Ooh.
There you go. There you are.
Birthday boobs.
That's one for my sweetie Mike Morse, who likes my titties. Marquis says, I always look at situations with an eyebrow raised. This doesn't seem like a get-rich-quick scheme. Right. You're not going to.
Well, it's just like that girl who put her entire story, like a 2-hour story about her experiences with Dalia out there. I don't think she's getting paid for shit.
Remember,
just wanted to talk about it.
Remember, I think for a lot of these women, they feel ashamed.
Yes.
And they feel gross. And they feel taken advantage of. And, like, nobody likes being humiliated. No. You know, they want to get some of that back. They want to get some of that dignity back. And I think that's what this is about. I really don't think it's about money, because they would have sued by now. I think this is about getting some of their dignity back because they feel taken. David says, I think you're a Milo tier male promoted by Susan. Oh, now you're not even trying, David. Jesus Christ. Come on. I deserve a better class of troll than that. First of all, David, you're a fan of mine. You like the show. Your heart's not even in this anymore. God.
What a weird comment.
I'm like the Saxon King in King Arthur. I'm just looking for a man worth killing. That's all. And I never get it. Instead, I get David Smith and Chad. Fuck, I deserve better. Garrett says, my favorite is when a woman says, well, yeah, but not Tyler. He's not like that. Tyler's like that. Tyler's probably more like that than anybody else you know, because he wants you to think he's not like that. You should be understanding that if a guy's coming to talk to you, see, women's egos get in the way as much as men's egos do. They just get in the way differently. Women ego themselves into creepy sex situations by never saying no.
Yep.
If a guy comes up, it's a lot easier to cut it off at the quick when the guy says hello than it is to cut it off once it's in a hotel room and he's got his hands down your pants.
Don't go to the hotel room.
Right.
You don't do that. Especially if you just met the guy. Like, no, you don't go anywhere with him.
But it's like Twitter and it's like the internet. Like when women are like, well, I don't want to say no when he just comes to shake my hand. I don't want to feel like a bitch. You have to be a bitch. Just like on Twitter, you have to not take shit seriously. You can't worry what other people at the bar or on Twitter think of you. You have to go, I'm a bitch. Go fuck yourself. I'm not dealing with you. I'm not communicating with you. I'm not talking to you. I know what you want. You're not going to get it from me. That's the way women have to be. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, but the man then thinks I'm a bitch. Of course he does. He wanted to fuck you and he's not getting pussy. He's not going to like you. All right? No matter if it's better to stop him now where he'll just go, like Manny and Scarface, bitch, lesbian, than if you have to fight him off in a hotel room because he thought the signs were there that you wanted him to finger pop you. Cut it off at the quick, and then all he'll do is call you gay and then move on. You'll be fine. Let's continue on here. Farfik Nugan says he's like a 17th century writer. He doesn't look like he belongs here. Oh, that's what someone said. He has the skin of Edgar Allan Poe.
Okay.
That was perfect.
It's accurate.
Marquise says, Patrice said it best. Women don't know how to accept raw from the gut honesty. Right. They think that, men are, interested in them, and they're not. They're trying to fuck them.
I'm sure
no guy goes to talk to a girl so he can have a new friend.
Most women, too, I think, just don't want to believe that could be true. They don't want to believe that you're all monsters and that they can't talk to any of you and that there's never an actual conversation being had.
When I tell women that you're not going to be friends with a guy, he's going to want to fuck you. You're just leading yourself on to an uncomfortable situation in the future. And April's like, God, I didn't understand that until eventually when I got a boyfriend again, all my guy friends tried to fuck me. Exactly. It's like I'm a wolf telling you we're wolves and you going, no, you're not all wolves. We all look the same.
Everyone's got to learn at their own pace.
We're all wolves. Which there's nothing wrong with being a wolf.
There's plenty of women like that too, though.
What?
That also behave that way.
Yeah, but guys know that behavior. You never see us get tricked. Unless,
most guys, wouldn't be shying away from that either.
Right.